Hello and welcome, everyone. It is my absolute pleasure to be with all of you today from my home office here, working from home in sunny California. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Maria Marquis, and here at Coda, I focus on customer education. So, how can we help people be as comfortable and confident as possible using Coda in their day-to-day work? And I'm really excited about this Business in a Box series that we're calling Create a Basic Coda System. So, just a little bit of how it's going to work. We have 5 sessions over the next few weeks. And if you can't attend all of them live, no problem. You can definitely watch the replay. That's totally fine. But what we'll be doing is we'll be taking a look at how you can build a series of Coda docs that work together to help you run your business. So we'll start with the company wiki. We'll move into OKR tracking. We'll get into team project tracking. We'll move into meeting management. And then we'll end with resource utilization. And all of these kind of fit together to create a system that helps you get started from a basic setup. Now, if you haven't attended one of our crowdcasts before, just so you know a little bit about how it's going to work. Ultimately, I've got some things I want to show you, but it's really about you and your questions. So over on the right side of your screen, many of you have already found it, which is awesome. We've got a little chat area. Go ahead, feel free to post whatever's on your mind. Happy to and take a look at that and answer any questions there. But if you do have a question, the best way for it to not get lost is for you to click on the Ask a Question button right below my face. That's going to be a really easy way for you to post something that's on your mind. And if you're maybe thinking like, I don't know what my question is, but I'm curious about what other people are asking, no problem. You can also click on that and choose to upvote or downvote questions. So letting me know what's most important to all of you. And there's no such thing as an interruption in our virtual classes. So feel free at any time, if you got a question, post it to the Ask a Question, and feel free to post your thoughts, feelings, or emotional outbursts over there on the side. Ooh, I love this. Aaron, did you sanitize your webcam with soap and water before this call? No, but I probably should have, but I do have the nice filter on it. So hopefully I look really nice here today. Excellent. Perfect. So at any time, feel free, post those different elements there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we're going to take a look at our doc today. And actually, I want to go ahead and paste the link there. So feel free, if you want to follow along and learn by doing today, open up that doc. We'll be using it in just a moment, but I'm going to share my screen as well. Ooh, great question. Thank you, Chris. Could you show us how to set up a cross-doc button action on this session? If we have time at the end, certainly. I'm not sure how it might fit into the company wiki element, but we can certainly take a closer look. And if I don't have time to answer it today, I'll definitely make sure that we send you a follow-up, Chris. Yeah, thanks. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. You should see it in just a moment. When you can, just give me a yes or no in chat. Like, yes, I can see your screen. Looks good. Looks like some of you also joined me in the doc as well. Nice. Excellent. Thank you. Perfect. Wonderful, Tim. Excellent. Excellent. So here we are, and I'm going to go ahead and just close and collapse this side list here. So this is a doc that I built to start us off today. I've included our agenda of what we'll be talking about. But what I'd love for all of you to do, if we think about a company wiki, I'd love for you to just click on this button, add a requirement, and then post what you need your company wiki to do so that we can actually customize some of the things that we'll be taking a look at today and be able to build it from scratch a bit. So go ahead, click on that add a requirement button, and you'll be able to add what you like. You can also go ahead and upvote anything that you also agree with. Now, for those of you who've never seen this before, while we're populating that, the easiest way to add this voting tool is to just do a slash. So you type a backslash, and then notice we get all these little wonderful examples. And there's topic voting. I could also start typing whatever I'm looking for, topic voting, and there it is. So a really nice way to add voting to any of your docs. Nice. View offline and backup. Not done yet. Yeah, go ahead and add a few things in there. Oh, I'm clicking on add a requirement and nothing's happening. Well, let's go ahead and look under the hood at this button. I'm going to right click on it and here we go. So it should open up a row for editing and you should be able to add what you're looking at there. Yeah. Also, just a good note, anything in Coda can be right clicked on and that will allow you to put in whatever you like. And you can go ahead and just go ahead and type anything that you're looking for there. This is something, this voting idea, I love to include this in any meetings that I'm doing. It allows people to add agenda items or things that they're really interested in. Nice. Ooh, what problems does our company solve? Beautiful. And notice if you click on that checkbox there, that done, I've had some conditional formatting here. So what conditional formatting is it allows you to decide how do you want your different parts of the table to look based on how you interact with it. And the way that that'll work is you can just hover over your table and you'll be able to click on options. And then over here on the side, we've got conditional format. Notice I've got one rule that's currently in play. And in this case, my rule is if done is equal to true, I want it to be crossed out. So a really nice way to add some detail there. Awesome, perfect. Mission statement, employee timesheets, employee contact list, very cool. All right, so you can keep adding things there as we go. So in this case, I have my what does our company wiki need to have? I'm gonna go ahead and just check that off. What I've done here is I've made a checklist. And the way that I did that is I went up here to the menu at the top and I chose create a checklist. It's one of our bulleted and numbered list options. So the first thing that I always recommend that people add to their company wiki is an org chart. It's really helpful to know who is everybody, how are they connected, particularly if you have new people joining. It's a helpful way for them to understand who are they working with and how do they all connect. So I'm going to go ahead and open up our side view over here by clicking on Expand List. For those of you who are new to Coda, this is what we call the section list. So if you're used to working in a spreadsheet or a Google Sheet of some sort, think about these as like different tabs in that spreadsheet. Or if you're working on a bigger sort of Google Doc, think about this as a series of Google Docs that might be working together. It's also kind of like a table of contents, if you will. If you ever want to add a new section, you just click on this new and section, and that'll go ahead and add it for you there. Got it. Oh, perfect. If you weren't signed in, yes, of course you would not be able to go ahead and edit. So glad you figured that out, Ryan. Nice. A fantastic mystery solved. So in this case, I made a section over here for the org chart. And I'm going to go ahead, click on that, and it's going to allow me to open it. So right now, this is blank. So here, what I can do is I can start to add a table. Now I can go up to this red plus sign here at the top and choose table. But if you're more of a keyboard person, you can also do that backslash and then start typing table. And there it'll also pull up there for you as well. And you can go ahead and choose, yes, give me a table. And in this case, I want a new table right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and remove that there just so we've got a little bit of space. I would say if you want to go ahead and be playing around as we go, feel free to go ahead and click on new and section and make a little section where you can start editing and working there too. That's a nice way to work at it. So I'm going to call this our people table. So I'm going to go ahead and name it. Naming things are very important inside of Coda. Now, when we think about Coda tables, you can have different column types based on the information that's there. So of course, if we've got a org chart that we're going to building, we're going to maybe want to call this employee, so their name. And then maybe we want to have this one be their title. And maybe we want this one to be their location. And maybe we'll give another column here and we will call this one their manager, right? We want to know these basic things about the person. Now, we could just start typing whatever we wanted to here today. No problem with just having text. But something that I recommend is to think about what kind of column is this really? If we think about the employee, that's like a person, right? So we might want to do what's called a people column. Ooh, great question, Alex. Is there a way to build a visual org chart in Coda? So we're going to take a look at how we can group this information as we move through. But if you're looking for kind of a more of like a flow chart, like a lucid chart type of a look, or something you might see in a normal ERP system like Workday, you're not going to see like those blocks as far as like a flow chart of moving through. We don't have that visualization, but we will take a look at some grouping and some ways that you can visualize it inside. Yeah, great question. So what I'm going to do for this employee option is I'm going to change this format of the column by clicking on the column title and choosing Format Column. And I'm going to make this column format what we call a people column. What I think is really cool about this is that it allows you to select the people who are part of this doc with you. So now if I click here, notice everyone who's joined the doc with me, there you are. I can now choose from you to add you in. So I could say, all right, Maria Marquis is one of our employees. Congratulations, Aaron, you're an employee now as well. and Andy Barton. And we could go ahead and add that as much as we like. What I like about this is it automatically pulls in their avatar and also allows you to get the details about who they are, which is cool. Now, the next thing we could do is we could go ahead and add a title. Now, this probably makes sense to stay as just a basic text format. So here we'll call this, my title is Super Awesome Person. Aaron is going to be the amazing human. And Andy, you're going to be the fabulous, fabulous human. Why not? There we go. So we can have the title there that's got that normality. Now, we could do a basic text for the location as well. But here, I would recommend actually doing another type of column format, which is what we call a select list. Because maybe for my location, I type SF, and then I type San Francisco for Aaron, and maybe I type San Fran for Andy. Now, in this case, even though all of those mean San Francisco, it's going to not have that clean data, and it's not going to be really clear. So what I would recommend is making this a select list instead. And the way that we do that is by going up here to location, and we're going to change format column, just like we did when we chose the people column. But here we're going to choose select list instead. And you can start typing what you're looking for to filter the results down. There's lots of options. So now what we can do is we can say, all right, the selectable items are San Francisco and New England, and let's say the UK, why not? So now when I click out of here, I can go ahead and I've got an automatic little drop-down menu that I can choose from. So unlike something in Excel where you'd have to make a separate list and then pull it in, you just start typing your options and now you go San Francisco and New England and the UK. Now maybe I want to add a row for another person. I'm just going to press enter and that's going to give it to me. And maybe we've got a new location. Well, I could start typing Malaysia. And then now I've noticed we have this option of that plus sign and then to add a new one. There we go. And if I were to click on any of these other drop-down menus, Malaysia is now part of it. So I love the select list option. It's a really nice way for me to have just a nice, clear set of data and not have to worry about kind of overdoing it or having mismatched information. It's a really helpful option for me. All right, excellent, fantastic. Now, the last thing that I might want to do here is I might want to create a manager option. Nice, Aaron, well done, perfect, nice. So for the manager option, we could also make this a people column, but these managers are probably also employees. So we can do something a little bit fancy here using a new kind of column format, which is called a lookup column. So how that works is we just click on that column header right up here at the top. We choose format column, and I'm going to choose lookup. There we go. I just start typing and there it is. And what this allows me to do is it allows me to pull in information from another table as my drop-down menu. Now, this could be from another table in another part of my doc, but I'm going to do a little bit of inception here. And I'm going to choose to look up from this table, the people table. So notice I've just got that there. I could click down and choose from topic voting or create a net new table if I like, but I'm going to choose people. So now what I can do is I can click on this drop-down menu and notice it gives me all of the folks that are listed in this employee column. Now, how does Coda know which option to pull in? Well, see this little flag icon? That tells me that's the display column. And actually, we got a nice little bit of hover text here. This lets you know, like, what is the row's information that's going to be pulled elsewhere. So now I could say maybe Aaron is my manager, maybe Andy is Aaron's manager, maybe Aaron, let's see, I'll be Aaron's manager, and then we'll choose, there we go. So now we've got this connection. Now notice how those look a little bit different. They've got that little outline around them. That lets you know that that information has details from another table. And what's cool is if you hover over it, it gives you all the information about that piece of data. So in this case, Aaron is an amazing human in New England, and the manager is Andy Barton. So it's a way to start to make those connections. So we can add as many people as we like here, but now we can start to do some fun visualizations. So maybe the first thing that I want to do is I want to just see like all of the people by the managers, right? So I know for Aaron, who are all the people that are reporting to Aaron? Well, how I can do this is I can choose to group my table information. So I'll just click on that drop-down menu. And this is where we've been going to format details, but we can also choose to group, sort, filter, all kinds of fun things. In this case, maybe I want to group it along the left. So here's what that looks like. It's kind of like a pivot table. So here we see Aaron, and in this case, we've got Aaron and Maria that are both reporting. Andy is reporting, Aaron is reporting to Andy, and then we've got Andy reporting to me. So it's a little bit recursive here, but we've got that connection. Notice we have a little summary of how many people are here, but if you don't want to see that, totally fine. You can just choose, hey, I want to have none show up for that. So that's another option that you can do. And you can summarize wherever you like. So here now we've got this one visualization, but maybe we want to see more of that kind of hierarchy. Let's go ahead and decide to ungroup this column. And we're going to go ahead and choose to group it across the top instead. So now I can see all of Aaron's people, all of Andy's people, all of Maria's people. So it's very much dependent on how you want to see it. So let's go ahead and ungroup this column and show another thing that we can do. Maybe one of the things that we want to support our people with is having them be able to sort of explore this people chart in more detail around, who all is in the San Francisco office with me, or who all is in the New England office with me. So what we can do is we can create almost like an interactive dashboard, if you will, using something called a control. Also, just a reminder here today, if you've got questions, there's no need to wait for me to stop talking. Please feel free, post it anywhere that you like. I'll be happy to help with that. Nice, excellent. So maybe we want to create this explorable dashboard. So when I'm going to visit somewhere else, I can see all of the details that I'm looking for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that \, and I'm going to type control. There we go. And notice I've got a couple different control options here. Lots of fun things. In this case, I'm going to choose a select list. So now it's going to open up the select list menus. The first thing I want to do is I want to name this thing. So I'm going to call this the location picker. Now what I can do is I could type in some examples here, but I'm actually going to say I want to do a formula. And this allows me to pull in information from another spot. So we're going to get rid of that. And I'm going to say, I want you to pull in details from the people table. And I want you to choose the locations. So I'm just clicking these options here. And then it gives me this ability to double check my work. So pull from the people table and look at the location option. I could also say, yeah, I want multiple selections. That's fine. So now I've got this little drop-down menu. And I can see all of those new details from San Francisco to Malaysia. So I've got this drop-down menu, but I need to now make a connection between that and this people table down here. So I'm going to go ahead and say, give a little instruction, pick a location. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to this filter option on my table because I want to filter it. And now I'm going to say add a filter. And in this case, I want the location. And I could choose any of these options here, but I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, I wanted to use an interactive filter, which is a fancy way of saying use one of my controls. And then here, notice I have a drop-down menu, and there's my handy little location picker. So now, notice because my location has none, it's going to filter out all of those results. But if I were to choose San Francisco, it's going to show me Maria, the super awesome person. If I were to choose New England and San Francisco, I'm going to see me and Aaron, and so on and so forth. So you could have a drop-down menu, a control picker for any number of the parts of your people database, and it allows people to explore. So how we use this at Coda, we have multiple locations and lots of people who work remotely. So this is a really great way that we can see who is where. We also do this for their team. So we could have a column here that says which team or department they're in, and you could filter by that as well. Ooh, can you add a new location in the control area? Excellent question. So in this case, for this control up here at the top, it automatically updates based on the locations you add here. So if I were to add another column and I add another location, let's say, why not, Wisconsin? I was thinking about snow before. I can go ahead and add that down here. And then notice the control automatically updates with that new option. Because remember, this control is being populated by that formula. Let's take a look at that. I'm going to right click on it. The formula here is the people table and any locations that are listed there. So it's automatically going to respond to whatever you've put there. Yeah, excellent question. Beautiful. So we've got this org chart, which allows us to make some connections, but notice it's looking a little bit bland, which is why I really like to add cover photos whenever possible. So I'm going to click on Add Cover. Just hover over that title. It shows me the option. Now, I could upload an image directly from my computer if I had one that I really liked, or maybe something that our press team had done. But I can also just choose from a random set. So I could say organization, and I've got a couple options here. This one looks good. Why not? And I can just select it. And now I've got this handy little cover photo that just adds a little bit of polish, if you will. So we've got our org chart that's allowing us to get started. But what we might want to do is we might also want to have a way for people to learn more about their colleagues in a more like interactive way. This is very much like a database, right? But we may want to have like a get to know you option. So what we could do is we can have another way of looking at this table by creating what's called a detail view. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new section just to make this clearer and easier. And I'm going to name it Get to Know Your Colleagues. And notice we can add an icon here if we like, so it'll show up over here on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, let's do this one. This one looks kind of fun. We could add a cover photo here as well. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another table. So I'm going to do this backslash, and I'm going to say, yeah, let's add a table. And here, instead of making a net new table like we did before, notice one of the options is I can make a new view of something I've already made, which in this case, my people table is going to be the one I want to choose. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, just like so. I'm now going to name it. We're going to call this Get to Know Your Colleagues, or whatever we like. And now I can decide, do I want this to stay as a table, or do I want to see it in another way? In this case, I'm going to recommend choosing the detail view over here on the side. So notice how this looks a little different. It's kind of like a flip book, if you will. And I can see all of the people right here on the side. I could also go ahead and change the filter so it's not connected to that control anymore. So I just clicked on filter, and I can go ahead, click on this little shish kebab and say, hey, remove that filter for me, just like so. So now I've got all of the employees right over here, and I can click through them. I can also search. So if we had like hundreds of employees listed here, I could search for Erin. There she is. And I've got this little view. Now, maybe you don't like the way this looks. That's fine. I understand. You can change it up if you like. So what you could say is click on this shish kebab over here, and let's actually just close that side view just to give us a little more space. And if you click on this shish kebab, you can say customize layout. Now, when I click on that, it now allows me to choose from any of these pre-made, what we call quick styles. So you can see like, oh, I can change it up a little bit, decide how I want it to look, whatever it might be. I kind of like this one personally. I think that looks really nice. And then you can move and drag and drop any of these around. Distraction assassin. I love that, Erin. Beautiful. And notice how it does update automatically as we move along. So we could go ahead and put the manager and then the location. We could decide to even add more columns here if we like. And now if I press done, notice how that looks a little bit cleaner. But if you think about all the things you could add a column for the bio of this person. You could add a column that is an image format where people could upload images of what they're working on. So this allows you to then have this kind of get to know you, more of a flip book type experience, almost like playing cards. But kind of a nice addition. And the nice thing is that if I make a change in the org chart, let's say that my title is now super duper awesome person, and I now am working inside of the New England office to be closer to my manager. I now, if I go back to the Get to Know Your Colleagues area, Maria Marquis, her title is automatically changed, as is everything else. So any changes you make in either location, even here, maybe I'm going to go back to San Francisco, automatically holds true in the other one. So that's why this view option is so powerful. You can always be making adjustments and changes, and it's going to be immediately up to date. So that's really the first part of our company wiki, this idea of how can we create this people database. And as we move forward in this series over the next few days, we'll also show how this org chart can then populate all of these other docs that we're working on through cross-doc connections. So we'll be exploring that in more details as well. The other thing that you can do with your sections over here is you can drag and drop them around. So maybe I want to make a folder over here, and I want to call this the people folder. I can now drag my org chart into it. I can also drag the get to know your colleagues. I can drag the my section anywhere. You can also drag these folders around as much as you like too. So you can really organize how you'd like to see this over on the side of the page. And you can also go ahead and collapse them. So let's head back to our agenda section over here. We've set up our org chart with the title, the team, the location, and the manager. So we're all set. Oh, good question, Erin. So we're going to be able to create task lists, projects, and super projects, and then assign them using Coda too. Yes. So we're going to be taking a look at projects in our third session, and we're also going to be connecting those projects to OKRs and also people here. Yeah, so this is very much like the first step, in many ways, the most basic way of using Coda to create that one central location for everybody to get just like basic information about the company, how it works. Yeah, and I'll be happy to share more resources on that as well. Great question, Erin. Beautiful. So now what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to add more sections. So what I've done before this session began is I've created sections for our values. This is where you could do your mission as well. Also office orientation, like how do you get around, where do you park, what kind of public commuting options are there, the tools that people have, and also like benefits. So you could go ahead and just add whatever sections you like, because notice up here at the top, folks can search for things. So if I wanted to search for health benefits, there it is. I can jump right to the health section. So right now it's blank, but what you can do is you can just start typing. So we've done a lot of work with tables up before this, but now we can take a look at some text. Totally, me too, Juan. I love the universal search. It is so helpful, particularly if you've got a lot going on. So when it comes to writing, you can write, just start typing. And there should be a lot of things that are really familiar to you. So for example, I could say, what are your medical benefits? And maybe I want this to be a header. Well, I can go ahead and just highlight that, change the formatting to be large, or change it to be 2, just like if you were writing a blog or writing on a Word document, for example. Now, what I like is now you could go ahead and put in some bullet points. So like, here's bullet 1, here's bullet 2, here's bullet 3. And notice as we start typing things, we want to have a dental here. We're going to go ahead and make that also a big, nice header. Notice that we're now starting to have a lot going on. And maybe I don't want to have this big wall of text. So what you can do is if you hover over any of these headers, any size, H1, H2, or H3, you've got a little shish kebab that appears. If you click on that, you can go ahead and collapse the content. So now as people are reviewing, they can just take in what they're looking for. It makes it a lot easier to move around. And maybe you're like, you know what? I really want dental to go first. I could go ahead and drag and drop dental up, and now we've got it all organized. Yes, I'm so glad you think it's cool. And maybe I want to say, oh, this is so cool. I want to drag that down and put it under my medical option here. So just because you've started typing doesn't mean you have to like stick around and have it be staying this way. You can have it move and adjust based on what you're looking for. And maybe you want your bullets to be not just a bullet list, but numbered list or a checklist. Or maybe you want it to be a block quote where you've got this nice little sort of indentation. Or maybe you want it to be a quote where it's like a little bit bigger, kind of like a more of a publishing type of experience. And you can also do code blocks as well. So lots of options to really customize how you want this to feel and how you want it to work, and kind of a more interactive option. Diane asks, can items that are bulleted be cross-referenced? Diane, could you give me a little bit more information about what you're envisioning? I think I understand what you're asking, but I want to make sure I fully answer your question. Ooh, great question. How did you add this little icon to health? So what you can do is I'm going to go ahead and just say, let's have no icon. That'll be what it looks like when you first add a section. But notice right above this particular title of our section, we have this add icon option. And that's where you can just click on it. It'll give you a couple to start with, but you can also search. My personal favorite icon that we have is the corgi icon. And then you can go ahead and choose that there. And you could also just go back to like a normal health icon too. The advantage of the icons here is that if I were to open this up on my mobile device, that icon would be listed along the bottom. I could tap on it. So it holds true wherever we go. Yeah. Oh, good question. So could the bulleted items go to a task list like with a button? Excellent question, Diane. So not at this time. The bulleted list, the text here is kind of separate from a table because it's unstructured. But what you could do is you could have inside of your table, you can have bulleted lists inside of your columns and then be able to reference them that way. And if you've got maybe more information about each of the medical plans listed somewhere else, like in a table, you could do at and then type the table. So let's actually give you a more full example. I'm going to go ahead and do a backslash table. So I can add a new table here. And we're going to call this a new table, net new. And we're going to call this medical plans. So this could be the name, coverage, and provider. Maybe the first plan is PPO1, and this is HMO1, and this is PPO2. And then the coverage, we'll just put in like 15, there we go, 12. Just going to put in some random numbers so we can work on here. And this could be Blue Cross, but we'll spell it correctly, Blue Shield. And this will be Maria's Health Company. Very, very legitimate. Oh my goodness, I cannot type today. So now what we could do is, instead of having these sort of bulleted lists, we could actually say, all right, at PPO number 1, and then at PPO number 2, and at HMO 1. So you can reference any of your row information. And then if you hover over it, you can see all of the details. So maybe we've got this in another part, or maybe we want to collapse this content just like we did with our title there. So you can actually reference any of your table data in your text, which I really like anytime you're trying to type up further details and you want to kind of reference things or point people in another location, that can help. But at this point, text doesn't go the other way yet, but it's certainly something that we've been exploring and thinking about. Awesome question, Diane. Beautiful. So in this case, you can have that text editing portion however you like it to be. And again, you can always collapse the content. I love doing that collapsed content. I just find that it makes everything so much more readable. And remember that you can always just add that cover photo, choose from our wonderful partners at Unsplash. So we could say, hey, show me all the doctors. Hey, that seems like a really great health insurance option there. And notice how it starts to make the pages kind of come alive. Oh my goodness. Ooh, great question, Erin. I'm so glad you're also a Corgi lover. Excellent. A Corgi Jack Russell, even better. Can we also add icons to subsections? And I love the hover effect. Yeah. So as far as the subsections, you can add them to any of these core sections here. And we are going to be actually providing even more nests that you can do, which will come along with an icon. As far as these elements, these headers, you can't have a sort of an icon out of the database, but you can always include an emoji. So if you want to include that little emoji, you just do that little colon option and type, or we've got this nice little emoji menu up here at the top. And I could say, hey, I want to find teeth. So we'll go ahead and say for teeth. Oh, there we go. That seems like a fun little dental option here. And you can go ahead and adjust that. Ooh, great question is you would do it for every header type. So it goes header by header. Yeah, exactly. Medical having the little inoculation there. Beautiful. So the collapse is everything that's underneath it. So if I have my dental and I have a H2 under here, I could collapse the H2, but I could also collapse the whole bit. So it goes by hierarchy. Yeah, excellent question, Diane. So now what we might want to do, let's head back to our fabulous agenda up here at the top. We've added some sections, is we might want to create like a table of contents for our entire doc, or like a home page, if you will. So what I can do is I'm going to go ahead, add a new section. We'll call this home, and we'll give it a nice little icon. That seems fun. And I could include a little, welcome to our company. We're so glad you're here, whatever you'd like. But now what I can do is I can add some jumping off points to every one of our sections. So I'm going to go ahead and close that side over here. So notice one of the options that we have is to insert a hyperlink. Now you can do that for any location on the web, but you can also, when you click on it, choose any of your sections, which I love. So I could choose show me the org chart. I'm going to have another link that in this case is going to go for the get to know your colleagues. I'm going to have another link here that is for our values, and then another link for office orientation, and another link for our tools. So you get the picture here. Now that's all right. Notice the icon comes through, but it's not as cool or as pretty as I might like it to be. So what you can do for any of these is you can hover over them and you get this little edit option, this little pencil icon. If you click on that, you'll get this little shish kebab and you can say, show it to me as a card instead of a URL. And now it looks like that, more of like a jumping off card. I could do the same thing for get to know colleagues. We're going to go ahead and just change that to be a card. And I'm going to do the same thing for values, just do hover, and we're going to make this a card as well. Thank you for bearing with me as I do this. Just add another couple here, that edit, and we're going to change to a card view. And also the same thing for our tools. Nice. So now what we can do, now that we've got these jumping off points, is notice how some of these look a little better. The ones that have the cover photo, that pulls through. Otherwise, it's going to be the icon. Now I can click on any of these and it's going to jump me then to that location, the org chart. So what I love is to be able to actually include those cover photos every single time to add just a little bit more fun. So I could say, let's choose a handshake. Why not? That's cool. And we'll choose values. We're going to go up here and have it be a heart. And office orientation, we're going to choose a map here. So I'm just choosing from Unsplash and I choose map. There we go. And tools, I'm going to add a cover and I can go ahead and say tools. All right. The other thing that you can do for any of your sections is you can add what's called a subtitle. Yes, Erin, you can create a collage of internal blog posts. Yes, 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 exactly. If you go to options here, notice we have a couple things we can do. So we have the section name and icon, which we've seen. We can also turn on a subtitle, and we can also turn on authors, and we can even turn on an outline. So we can change that all up. We can also say, you know what, I'm tired of this standard font. I want to have some cool serif instead. You can do that too. You can also change your font size. But now what we can do is we can say, learn about our people. And notice the author is me right here, Maria Marquis, and I've got that connection. So now if we head back to that home page right here, notice the subtitle gets pulled in as well. So it's starting to add like that extra context, that extra sort of polish, if you will. And then on the org chart, we could say the learn about our people, get to know your colleagues. Again, we just go to options, turn on that subtitle and that author, just like so. And we could say, they may surprise you. And again, if we head back to that homepage, notice how we have that subtitle come through. So I love that subtitle element because again, it just adds that nice, easy to view, easy to understand. And just like everything else in Coda, you can drag and drop these around just by grabbing that little shish kebab and moving it about. So you can always have that change. So I love to have this kind of jumping off point, this little orientation, and you can add your own cover photo here as well. So just choose, let's say home. Ooh, what a fancy place. Nice. So now notice it's starting to feel a lot more like an app instead of just a doc or a spreadsheet. Excellent. All right, heading back to our agenda. What else is on the docket? There we go. Ooh, the other thing I just want to make sure everybody knows about. Remember when we were in the health area under our medical plans, we could do the referencing of different rows in our table. You can also include that in the midst of your text. So for example, I could say, we have a lot of medical plans to choose from. It's a key part of our, I could do at values. Our values, there we go. And go ahead and reference that across. And I can make those connections. You can link to tables here as well. So just know that everything that is a table is a linkable, and those sections can always have those URLs too by going up to that URL option or just typing them as well. Awesome. Fantastic. Let's see. So that is just the core part of the wiki. Honestly, wiki is very straightforward. Create sections, create jumping off points between sections, just start typing and collapsing that content as you need, and then also be able to move forward. But now what I'd like to do is just make sure we can answer any and all other questions that you may have. Ooh, good question. Can you limit who can edit/read? Yeah. So the way that you would do that is right up here, click on share, just like so. And notice here you could say anybody with, and this would say your domain, and you can decide they can edit, comment, or just view. You could also say anyone who's part of a certain folder. So maybe you want to invite certain people into a folder to be able to edit. And then you can also say, hey, anyone with the link, I maybe want no access. Because I wanted all of you to be able to edit, I left it as an edit option. And you can also decide whether or not new people should be added. You can also decide that you want to publish this doc. Maybe it's a widely used resource you want to put out there, sort of like a company mission statement. You want everyone in the world to see it. You can go ahead and do so. And you can also decide exactly who you invite and whether or not they have read-only or edit permissions. Yeah, nice. So let's take a look at these other requirements here. So we have our employee contact list. The way that you would do that is going into your org chart, and then you could add more columns for, phone number. If you're using the people column, their email is automatically there, which is kind of fun as a little bit of a calling card. So we've got that, and you can just add as many details as you like, which is nice. All right, so we've got that done. And again, this is that conditional formatting, which you can get to under options and conditional format. And you can always add more rules just like this, saying, oh, if the requirement is equal to something, you can change how you want it to look. Excellent. Oh, got it. Thank you for clarifying, Aaron. Can we limit who can edit or read certain parts of the doc, like lock down the agenda? Yeah, so let's take a look at the options we have when it comes to the permissions. So if I go here to the org chart, notice up at the top, we've got this doc settings, this gear up here. And there's this locking option. Now, the way I like to think about this is kind of like a speed bump, right? If you've invited people in to edit, there's that case, but you can also decide that you want it to be full control, that people can interact and configure, or maybe you just want to have it be interact only. So they can't add new rows, they can't change table values, but they can use buttons. So you can change and adjust the settings on a section by section level. Yeah, great question. Awesome. Oh, I'm so glad, Aaron. Yes, wonderful. That's exactly what I love to hear. Yeah, if there's one thing that I could say about all of my colleagues here at Coda is that they are all very deep thinkers, and every single part of this has been really, really clearly thought out for a very specific reason, which is great. Let's see, Diane, I think this is you. Yeah, Diane, I would love to know what you mean by the offline and backup. Oh, like viewing if it's offline. Thank you, got it. So when we think about losing connection, so if you get into an offline mode, you'll still be able to view, but you won't be able to make those changes right away. They'll get pushed up when you have internet connection again. Yeah, awesome. So what is our company mission statement? I would put this right inside of the our values area. So I could say here, mission statement, and I would just change this header type. So I would make this an H1. And then our mission statement is to be the best and also the kindest. And then now you could do that same thing of collapsing the content if you wanted to, so as people are reading, just like so. Awesome, and you could add whatever else you like. Let's head back to our agenda, make sure we cover anything else that you wanted to add. Yeah, and what problem does our company solve? I would also add that to values as just another element there. Nice. Individual Google calendars. So what you could do here is you could actually connect the Google Calendar pack. So how that would work is if you go to your doc settings, we have things called packs, which are really ways for you to pull information into Coda from other locations and also push information from Coda out to other ones as well. And the way you would do it is just choosing add a new pack. And notice calendar is one of them. And if I click on that, it will allow you to pull in calendar events, also add them to a certain part, to be able to pull in tables of people's calendars. So what I might do here is I might create one table that's for the Google Calendar pack, and then have it be filtered by whoever you're interested in. Yeah, that would be my recommendation there. Good question. Is there a way to export to CSV? So the answer is kind of. So when it comes to exporting data out of Coda, generally what we recommend is to just like copy paste it out. That's really the best. You can also decide to print it out, or you could have use like a Zapier to pull information out if you needed to put it somewhere else. That might be a recommendation there. Awesome. Employee timesheets. So here, what I would recommend for this one is to check out our template gallery. So one of the options you can do is you can go to coda.io/templates. It's a great place to get inspiration. Pardon me, some of my oatmeal got caught in my throat. And there's lots of options here to choose from. I think we have one that is a timesheet. Yes, a time tracker. Or the meeting timer might be helpful as well. So what you could do is with these different trackers is the idea is that you have a button that allows people to time in and time out. So let's go ahead and just pull this up. Good question. Can we export a calendar to a .ics file and then add it to another calendar app? So at this point in time, that's not available. But with the Google Calendar pack, if you are using Google Calendar, you can go ahead and add new events to your Google Calendar from Coda or pull them in. But we don't have another one there. I would recommend checking our Zapier listing because Zapier allows you to connect thousands of apps together, and we are on there. So that would be another option to explore. So how this time tracker would work if you wanted to build it is notice that we've got this button that clocks in and a button that clocks out. So you can go ahead and type clock in. That's going to go ahead and create a formula to say, all right, timestamp for now. And then when you're done, you could go ahead and clock out. So this would be a sample that I would recommend using for employee timesheets. You could have another section of your wiki over here that's like employee time, called timesheets. And then you could go ahead and pull in, oops, just refreshed my page. My apologies, everybody. Go back to our company wiki. You could have a table with every person and then a button to clock in and clock out. And then that would go ahead and add every time. So that would be something I would think about for that. Awesome. Excellent. These questions are fantastic. We had a question, is it possible to use a custom domain for the doc? So the way that we can get you there is if you go up to share, there is this publish option. And you can decide to change the URL down here. The thing with publishing is that right now, it's like publishing out to the internet. We are exploring what it would look like to publish to just within your organization. But in the meantime, the workarounds that I would recommend is you can do a service like GoLinks or Bitly, which allows you to shorten it or choose exactly what you want that link to be. But then to stay tuned for, as we move forward on that, to be able to have more of that be available. Awesome. These questions are amazing. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If there are any other questions you have, anything Coda related is fair game. In our next Business in a Box, creating a basic Coda system, what we're going to do is take a look at OKRs. So we'll actually be adding OKRs to this company wiki, because if you think about goals and milestones and objectives and key results, having that in one centrally located place is a really huge advantage for any organization. And then by having it all in the wiki, we're going to explore later on how we can pull in using our cross-doc tool, all of that company wiki information into the other docs that we use every day. So with that being said, if there's anything else you need, feel free to post to chat or click on the Ask a Question button. I'll be happy to share my screen again. Not a problem. More than happy to assist with anything on your mind. Otherwise, if you've got what you need for today, I just want to thank all of you so much for sharing your most precious resource with me today, which is your time. I take that so seriously, and I hope you found at least a few things that you can start working with right away. And if you ever need support as you're getting started, I understand you're thinking about business systems, rehashing your tool set, trying to build something new. If you need help, let us know. Our support team is always available. support@coda.io. Charlotte, Thomas, Hannah, Ben, Malika, they'll all be more than happy to help with anything on your mind. So just let us know if we can be of service. I also recommend that everybody join, if you haven't already, Coda's community. I just put the link over there in chat. That is a great place to stay in touch with other users like you, asking questions for them about how they've solved problems. It's an amazing group of folks and a good way to just share all of the wonderful knowledge that you've got going on. Ooh, great question. Any timeline on when we can add attachments? Unfortunately, Diane, I do not know. There have been a lot of other things that we've been focusing on as far as making our text editing even more delightful, adding a lot more of that in. I know it's something that is on our product team's list, something they want to do. It's really just a matter of like prioritizing amid all of the other things. So know that it's not going away. I just don't have an updated timeline on it. But for those of you who are new, I do want to let everyone know that one of our column types, like people, lookup that we did today, is images. So you can attach images inside of your columns. Yeah. So glad you enjoyed it, Diane. And thank you, Erin. Yes, a list of tasks before the next session. And please feel free, let me know of anything that you're working on or any thoughts that you're exploring. I'll be happy to assist. Awesome. Any other questions or thoughts or concerns I can help with today? Let me know. I'll hang out here for a little bit. If you need anything at all, happy to share my screen again. And actually, while we're waiting, let me just show you that image column type. I'll just share my screen one more time. I do think it's particularly helpful for our get to know your colleagues for the org chart. So we could say, all right, we're going to add a column right over here on the side. I'm going to go ahead and say, let's just refresh my page here. What we've seen here is that there was a bit of a lock. Our locking held true. So notice this little lock icon up at the top. I'm going to go ahead and choose to unlock this so I can now work on it. So I'm going to click on this little column over here. One of the things we have is the image. So you can choose to upload an image directly or a URL to an image somewhere. And you can go ahead and click on this plus, and it'll allow you to upload it from your computer. Now, one thing that I really like this image column for is for expenses. So what you can do is you can actually upload like receipts here for different items. And if I were to be on my phone and I were trying to edit this row, I could just click that plus for the image and take a picture with my phone and automatically have it get uploaded to the row, which I think is kind of a fun thing. Ooh, great question, Diane, about viewing tasks due this week. That is something we'll be taking a look at in the task tracker. So definitely can deliver on that. The way that you would do it is by adding a control up at the top. So we could say, all right, type that control option. We would choose a date range. And then one of the things that you can do in your date range is you can decide to change what you'd like it to be. So we'll call this the date range. Why not? And then over here on filter, we could filter by, we need a date column in order for this to connect. Just bear with me one moment. Let's go ahead and add a date. And we'll choose date. We'll make that today. And we'll make this one next week. We can now then add a filter. And we'll choose date. And we're going to have it be interactive filter like we did with the other control. And here we're going to say, hey, the date range picker, please. And now we could decide to then make that connection over on the side. So we could be like, all right, here, I want to choose the present this week. And now it's going to filter. So that was a kind of a quick and dirty approach. Yeah, of course, my pleasure. That's what I use for my own personal task tracker. Yeah. All right, Anna says, is it in the plans to hide sections entirely, like block access to a section? Right now you can unhide and hide, but if you know to unhide, that's an option. So yes, great point. You can, on any of these sections, choose to hide them. And then what that does is it just kind of removes it from the core view just to kind of clean it up so you don't have the data parts right there visible. People aren't working with them all the time, but you're right, you can choose to unhide. It is definitely something that the team is thinking through. I don't have a formal ETA on when that will be available. But as we're starting to think more and more about expanding this for teams, making it more usable, making it more, what's the word I'm looking for? More connected, and also thinking about the different types of publishing you might want to have available, it's certainly on the docket. So you will be the first to know once I know, but I don't have a formal date. Yeah. Excellent. Thanks so much. All right. These questions are fabulous. Anything else I can help with? I'll be here for another 5 minutes or so. If there's anything that you need at all, again, anything Coda related, fair game, I'll be happy to assist. Otherwise, start having fun, start poking around, start exploring. Feel free to break things, go for it, and let us know how it goes. We're here to support you, and I can't wait to see all of you in another session. Also, if you want to relive the magic today, all you need to do is head to our Crowdcast channel. I'll put over here, Coda HQ. All of the replays of previous sessions are immediately posted there. So you can see the other sessions that we've done. You can relive today's magic as well. Yeah. Anna, are you saying, notice that you cannot sort alphabetically in docs? Are you saying on the doc list where it lists all of the docs that you have? Or something else? I want to make sure I fully understand. Doc list, yeah. So in that case, it is sorted by the most recently used, right? What I recommend is if you have docs that you use all the time, you can star them, and then they'll automatically be at the top. Yeah. Great question. And then I'll check with the team to see if there's anything else that I can be aware of as far as sorting options. Awesome. Yeah, of course, Anna. My pleasure. All right. Any other lingering questions I can help with today? All right. Awesome. Well, definitely check out the Coda community. Keep us posted with how things go. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.